What the fuck is up? What the motherfucking business is? Cold Hard Facts Podcast, episode 230-230. I am DNA, the only one, the one and only, of course. Back again, once again, and I have a very special guest. Someone, for y'all who don't know, someone who's been begging. Begging to be on this show for a while. I just want to let him know today, again, while we on air, that it's not my fault, but it is my fault at the same time. You-C!
Yo, what's going on?
So, I got a lot of questions, but I don't have a whole lot of questions that's written.
Right.
Off the dome, I'm gonna have a lot of questions because I really don't have anything written for you.
I usually have a lot of answers, so this is good.
I want to first say compliment you on your talent because you fucking amazing.
Thank you.
Your shock factor in your bars is just crazy. Like, this is not something I normally see from the city. I know you from Markham, correct?
Born and raised.
But technically you can still claim Chicago if you wanted to, technically speaking.
I could. See, I used to do that, but as I've gotten older and as I've started paying attention to like how, especially in rap, how like certain cities or areas get on, you want to like not separate yourself from the big city, but you want to represent where you're from.
Right.
Like NWA, they're from Compton, they're not from Los Angeles, so they put Compton on the map. Snoop Dogg put Long Beach on the map. You know,
Right.
Even when you got all the different boroughs in New York, Nas put Queens on, Fat Joe put the Bronx on, Jadakiss and the Lox and DMX, they put Yonkers on. So it's really about where you're from and what matters more to you. Like, I love Chicago. I've loved Chicago for pretty much my whole life. But as I've gotten older and more in tune with myself and comfortable with who I am, it matters more to me now that I put Markham on the map as opposed to Chicago on the map.
Right. And you still relatively young. You don't mind saying your age?
I'm 28. I'm turning 29 this year in July. I'll be 30 next year. So, yeah, it's been a long while. I just look young.
Right. Yeah, man. Like I said, like fucking the shock factor in your bars is like, you know, but you still like when I'm listening to all your new features that you have out, because do not beat him over the head, people. He's still working. He got a few features out there. If y'all don't know, he worked with Kel James recently. He also worked with Rock Smooth, friend to the show. Somebody else you worked with?
Casket.
Yeah, Casket. That one I just heard today. I felt like I don't really know where to rank these three features that you have, that you've given us, that you blessed us with, because they're all really fucking good in their own way.
Right.
Especially over the fucking Lupe Fiasco sample, Kick Push with Rock Smooth. I felt like that was my favorite. I don't know if you saw that interview, but that's my favorite fucking song and my favorite verse by you. I'm still like, where the fuck, why in the fuck did you leave Earth like that?
Let me do a little back history. So like I was saying off air, in 2017 I became a parent, so like I had to take a step away from music just to focus on my son. Also, rap at that point, I wasn't getting no traction from it really. I was starting to get bored, so I was just like, let me take a step back, be a family man, focus. So for a long time I was telling people I was on hiatus, you're not gonna hear me rap, blah 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 blah. And me and Rod been knowing each other for almost 10 years now, so if anybody can convince me to do anything rap-wise, it's definitely Rock. So Rock, one day he came over to my house and he was working on his album Storm the Market, and he was like, I need you on this record, and I'm like, Rock, you know I'm retired, man, you know I'm not doing anything. And he's like, I got something that's gonna pull you out. He played skating for me many people know this when they ask me my top 5. They know Lupe is in my top 5. So when I heard the sample, it brought something out of me that I was like, I just looked at Rock and Rock just smiled, and I'm just like, why would you do this to me? Why, you know, Jesus Christ, Rock, why? So I immediately started working on that. That's actually one of the first times that I can admit that I've had to rewrite my verse twice. Because when I first had that beat, I had 8 bars that I wasn't feeling. And then one day I was at work and I was just playing the beat over and over, and then the words that I actually laid down in the booth hit me, and when they hit me, I'm like, no, these are the correct words that I have to use for this song. And it took me like 2 days just to write it, and then when I went to rock, a lot of people who know this about me, they know I do everything in one take. So I one-taked it, but I also punched in parts. But yeah, that's one of the feature verses that I'm more proud of. I can say that verse got me out of retirement and backed me into the swing of things, where I was feeling more confident with doing more songs. That was the one that I was like, you know what, it might be time for me to like come back outside. I'm just dipping my toe out at this point.
That don't sound like a toe dip. Also, the one I heard that I told you I just heard recently, the Majora's Mask
Yes.
one. That one is also like that became second for me on your list of your little feature run you have right now. Tell me about that one, because that one got some shock factor too. I was like, this Zendaya bar.
So I'll touch on the Zendaya bar and then I'll speak on the history. So the Zendaya bar, that reference in itself, I have to give homage to my man Patrice O'Neal, because that bar was inspired by a stand-up set that he had did, and in the set he had broken down like, you know, he said, can we use profanity on this thing?
Yes.
Okay, so he said the quality of pussy is only good from like 18 to 29. Meanwhile, women get hornier from like 30 to 50. So that was just me focusing on that. Plus I was playing off of the DJ Premier line, where I started from scratch, like Primo cuts, I'm in my prime. You know, he has the group with Royce the 5'9" prime, so I had to tie it all together. I'm in my prime, like Zendaya's snatch. So Zendaya's like 25 right now. So if we're going off of that age metric, she would be in the prime of her, according to Patrice, her good pussy years. And as far as how I even got on the record with Casket, I've been knowing Casket since like 2016, met him through the open mic circuit. I've always known Casket to be a Christian rapper, so like when he asked me to do this type of record, I was like, you sure you want me on this song? Like, our styles are very different. When he was like, listen, I know I'm a Christian person, but like some of my music is a little more secular. So he was like, you can say whatever you want, and I was just like, all right. And people who know me know how I come on records, you know. I'm a student of the game, not just the rap game, but Jason Taylor. I'm a student of him, so like his style of doing name drops has always stuck out to me, so I incorporate that in my music. So I was just coming on the track how I knew how to come on the track. Plus, rapping on boom bap beats like that are extremely easy. They don't require a lot of thinking. Like, you could fart on a boom bap track and it's gonna sound nice, but that's one of the ones where I just spazzed out. And plus, I know a lot of people are like Skating and Happiness are their favorite one. That is my favorite one, because I got to use, like, if you sit down and break each line down, you'll get like a couple triple and quad entendres if you like really sit and think about each line.
Right. That's dope. I'm going all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to also ask you, how did you really get your start? Like, what drawed you into making music, period?
Growing up, I've always loved hip hop. I've loved music in general, but it was something about hip hop that just stuck out to me. Like I can remember as a child watching like BET Awards and seeing Ja Rule on the stage looking like a superstar, or seeing Jay-Z looking like a superstar, or Bow Wow looking like a superstar, and just saying, I want that to be me. As I got older, I started rapping in the church. So like, when I really started writing, I started out as a crunk rapper. I tell people all the time, I know my top 5 is my top 5, but I am nothing without Lil Jon and the Crunk Juice album. That album, for me, is a personal classic that motivated me to start rapping. And people will hear my music and be like, Lil Jon, Crunk Juice. That album made me start writing, at least initially. As far as the bars, I give credit to Lil Wayne, because this is like 2004, 5, where Wayne had started breaking out of his Hot Boy MC era into the Carter MC era. That's when he really was like a technical MC. You factored that in with Andre 3000, and the only reason why I give Andre his credit is because when I was a kid, my father took me to this barbershop and they was talking rap. So this is like 2006 or 7, and this guy asked me who did I think was a better MC, Wayne or Andre, and I said Wayne because I was 12. And he was like, I think you should go back and listen to Andre 3000. And I was looking at him, I was like, what? 3 Stacks? And he was like, listen, Andre has a song on Speakerbox, Love Below, A Day in the Life of Benjamin Andre, and he was like, that one song is better than Big Boy's whole Speakerbox album. And when he said that, I was like, couldn't be. And then at this time, this is when Dre was going on his like 06, 07, and 08 is where he went on this feature run that we haven't seen, that we're starting to see now with J. Cole.
Right.
So, yeah, factor that in. I started rapping in church, making Christian remakes. Like I did a remake of Put On by Jeezy, a remake of Change the World by Nas in the Game, a remake of Dead and Gone by T.I. Was doing that. Then I started writing for myself when I got to high school. Just rapping on different beats, learning my style, learning what I wanted to say, learning how I wanted to say it. And then once I got to college, that's when I started actually working on projects. I did my first mixtape, Cough Drops and Water Bottles, October 24th, 2012. I did my first EP, Searching for Myself, in August of 2013. There's a 2-year gap from that to my second mixtape, which is probably my most critically acclaimed, Do You See Me, where I put the most effort in. And then the last project I did was called 7-0 Greatness, which was just an homage to Markham. That's when I really started like focusing on being from the south suburbs and trying to put the south suburbs first.
Nice. Dope. Yeah. I tried to get into your older stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's like okay, I wanted to listen to some old, but I had to bring myself out of it because I'm not really into listening to older music from an act who's already given me such greatness in like 3 verses so far. Well, actually, but before I got into your projects, I only had heard 2 verses from you at that point. Okay. Before, so that's why I was like, okay, wait. I did like what I heard, but it was more so like, nope, gotta listen to something else new. And I listened. That's when I waited till today to listen to Majora's Mask first. Mm-hmm. So I was like, damn. The Kel James verse, that song.
Yes,
you got the Kel James.
Happiness is not a crime, yes.
Talk about that one.
All right, so with that one, that's another one of those ones where I had to write it twice, because again, I've known Kel since 2014, so like this isn't even our only song. We've got like maybe 3 together. This is the 3rd record. So when he sent this to me, because he had already did Happiness is Not a Crime, I didn't know he was working on a remix. There's a version on his last album, Pink Lambo, where it's 2 verses by him. So with this one, he's been, and Kel has admitted this publicly. Kel, and again, these are his words, not mine. Kel has admitted that when it comes to rapping style-wise, he looks up to myself and Rock. So he always looks out for trying to do features with me and him. So this was one of the ones where like he sent it to me, but trying to write on this one record took forever. Cause he initially sent it in 2021. I tried writing to it, I couldn't do it. So then like time passed and he was like, I'm still looking for a feature, and I hit him up. It's the same, and it was the same record, so I was just like, okay, let me actually try to write this. Nothing hit me. And then I listened to his verse to try to get an idea of what the topic or the theme was, and when I realized this is a record about your personal life and like how you've like overcome some shit, I had to look back at my life and like, how could I talk about this? Because one of the things that is new to me now that I'm a lot older is that I'm able to actually talk about my life because I've been through things in the last 6 years now as opposed to my earlier years.
Right.
Like, I'll be very honest, I listen to a lot of my old music and I cringe at it because one, I'm a better person and I'm a better MC. So like a lot of the records that I made, when I show them to people, they'd be like, oh, this is cool. I'd be like, really? Because I'm so better now. And anyway.
Absolutely.
So like when it came to writing the verse, I had to like focus on my actual life, and I had to write it twice, and then the second time I wrote it, I had to structure it in a certain way. So like certain lines, they were initially written to be like the first or second, but they got pushed down. So like once I had reached a point to where it was time to actually record the verse, I finalized it at the studio because there were like 4 bars that I didn't even write until I got into the studio when it was time to record it. Right. So that's how that came to be. And plus, we did that last year. He just put it out now.
Okay, that's dope. That's exactly why. Like I tell artists. I actually did tell an artist this, but I didn't answer my own question. Mm-hmm. Well, I told them to go back and listen to your first project. Go back and listen to your previous project. Go back because the space you're in now is not the space you're in last time.
Exactly.
So that's why I was like, it's gonna be difficult for me to even listen to your older things, because I'm so in tune with what you have now.
Right. So
that's why I'm trying to progress with you. Like I'm almost like, dang, what's next? Cause I know you're gonna top this shit. Dang, what's next? Top this shit. I know you're gonna top this shit. So that's all it is for. That's for every artist, not just you-C in front of me. That's for every artist. Top your next one, top your last one.
Absolutely. And don't think, in my message to artists, don't think your first project is your best project. Prime example of this is Nas. Like, we look at Nas and we hold Illmatic in high regards as the greatest rap album to ever exist. If you ask Nas if that's his best album today at 50 years old, he's going to tell you no. As an artist, you're supposed to feel like your 10th album is your best album, like compared to your first album when you was 20. Like, right. If you think your first album at 20 and you're 50 years old now on your 10th album, you think your first album is your best one, you have not grown as a person.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, like I said, now I got some questions that I've written that I probably asked every fucking artist that's ever sat in front of me. But damn near all of that was off the dome. Top 3.
Personally, all time, shit. Because now you're talking like outside of hip hop. Okay, so my all time albums that matter tremendously to me personally, the first one would be Crumb Juice by Lil Jon. The second one would be Human by Brandy. And then the last one would be A Night at the Opera by Queen. Those 3 albums are some of the most prolific pieces of art that we've ever gotten in the last 40 years. Like, first off, Crunk Juice, and I know a lot of people are gonna say Kings of Crunk is a better Little John album, but Crunk Juice is more polished. Crunk Juice has a more consistent feel to it. It's also a sound that was very relevant in the 2000s. Like, people don't give Crunk Juice enough credit for like the energy that we got in this current day and age. A Night at the Opera sonically is one of the most beautiful albums outside of it being rock. Like, Bohemian Rhapsody is an opera and you can't convince me of anything else. Even though it's a rock song, it's an opera. And then Human is my favorite Brandy album. Like, I've cried listening to that album. Like, that album spoke to me in a way that I didn't think any album could ever speak to me. So that album alone has Brandy in my top 5 for R&B singers. So like, yeah, if I ever get a chance, I want to sample a couple of records from there. Like, I was actually having a convo with someone and they were like, what's your favorite Brandy record? And it's a cappella, which is from that album. A lot of people look at that album as a failure, and I'm just like, this album is everything to me.
Right.
So yeah.
Did you want to explain Queen?
Oh, well, Queen is one of Queen. So I didn't become a Queen fan until high school, because when I was in high school, I sang in the choir. So one of the songs we sung in the choir was actually Bohemian Rhapsody. But my favorite Queen song is Somebody to Love, and I've sampled Somebody to Love twice, but that song is not on there. So A Night at the Opera, when I watched the Queen documentary and I learned just how they created the album and how they set that theme up to be like an opera feel, it taught me that like you can make a rap album and it be like more grandiose than being a rap album. A good example of that would be My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. That album is basically an opera album. Sorry, I'm talking so much.
Oh no, the floor is yours, sir.
So like that album is a rap opera album. Also Watch the Throne. But with Queen, it's just like Freddie Mercury is one of them voices that he's one of them once in a lifetime voices that like when he passed, we still to this day haven't gotten anything like that. And Queen just got them records. They got them outside of the mainstream shit. They got them records that like that just make you feel good and hit you. But that album specifically, it's culture. It's and this is another message I want to leave to rappers. Stop listening to just rap music. Listen to other shit. So that way you can make your album better than what it is. It's cool to listen to other rappers and listen to rap shit. But if you want to make something grandiose, listen to something other. That's why Lil Uzi is Lil Uzi, because he's listening to shit other than just rap music.
Right, exactly. Because there is artists and there's rappers and there's singers and there's artists. Like, you know, it's like it's no in between. You know, it's damn near like, do you want to be Travis Scott or do you want to be G Herbo? Not that this G Herbo. G Herbo is dope.
Exactly.
But let's see. What do you feel your biggest accomplishment in music so far?
That's a good question. I've had a couple. So like, even though my career didn't really take off like I planned for it, I've had a lot of like, I guess in my own words, I've had like a lot of like minor but big to me successes, like being in Level Up magazine. That was one of like the best parts of my life. Being interviewed by Mr. Trax, that was dope. Performing at Adriana's, even though my music didn't fit Adriana's, just saying that I did that was nice. One of my best performances was at the movie theater on 87th Street. They had just built the stage that, I don't know if you went there recently, but they have a stage with a DJ section. They had just built that up there. They just put the bar in the middle, and one of the homies, H3, he had put together this showcase, and he had all these different people perform, and I was one of the acts that kind of got like a standing ovation, so to speak. but that was probably one of the last performances I did before I had walked away. And yeah, that plus being in that magazine, yeah, those are probably my biggest accomplishments so far.
Okay.
Also, earning money from streaming. I checked out my DistroKid account recently, and I see I got some change in there from the music that I've uploaded. So now I'm able to actually like legitimately say that I make money off of my music. So that was another one of the things that got me back out here.
Let's see. So how do you stay inspired?
That's hard. Actually, no, it's not. No, it is not hard. I'm inspired by people doing better than me. I'm inspired by people who are better rappers than me. And that can be on a local level, that can be on a mainstream level. Like, I'm inspired by Rock, I'm inspired by Ken, I'm inspired by Mutiny, I'm inspired by Kel James, Bria Morey, Brittany Carter. It's so many people from when I started that are still doing their thing. They inspire me, but there's also like the mainstream people that inspire me and keep my lightsaber clean, so to speak, like Benny the Butcher, D Smoke, Corday, Damani Harris, Akeem Ali, Conway, Denzel Curry. It's so many artists out there. Stove God Cooks, Simba. There's so many people out there that are inspiring me to not only pick up the pen but keep my pen sharp. Everybody is nice, and I'm trying to be as nice or better than them. Right. So like, it's not hard to be inspired, but one of the things I tell people is to not close yourself off from what's outside. Yes, you want to have your own sound, but you also want to be aware of the sound out there and how to topple it.
True. Let's see. So yeah, before we got on air, you was talking a lot about other stuff that you got going on. So what do you have your hands in right now, sir?
So right now, I'm currently working on an anime that I've been working on for basically the past 2 years now. I began this was a passion project that I just started working on out of nowhere, out of boredom. Yeah, it's called Follow the Flow. At least that's the name right now. I may change it later. And I have to pull this up because I keep this, I'm always talking about it. Give me 1 second.
That's crazy because a lot of artists don't really do any passion projects. They just talk about it. You know, like I feel like 2 Chainz is one of those artists, but he's also like I wouldn't say old, but he's seasoned because he's been around a long ass time. He's talked about a lot of different things that he hasn't gotten into yet.
Right.
I look at 2 Chainz and I'm like, come on, why haven't you done it yet? Or stuff like this, shit like that. Because he's like kind of unique in a way. Because I remember he was on the Breakfast Club talking about how he hasn't gotten that whole feature yet. And he's done asking, why? Why are you done asking? But I get it at the same time because everybody wants a whole feature. It is also he still hasn't gotten that second. We still haven't gotten that second Collie Grove album yet, but it's out there somewhere. Or Wayne is one of the hardest working artists out there, and he simply doesn't say no to a feature. If you don't know that, you should know that because he said that. A lot of artists have said that about Wayne. He does not say no to a feature. So, but you can continue to what you was talking about.
Yeah, so I'll just describe the anime for you. So it's a science fiction slash fantasy anime. It takes place in a different galaxy. You have the universal bureaucracy, which is based on our current government. They pretty much control and run half of the planets in the galaxy. The UB has an organization of peacekeepers or guardians called the Ciphers, which is inspired by the Jedi Knights. My main character is a paladin of ceremony. He does missions on behalf of the UB and the Cipher Council with his crew of 12. On the other side, you have the Noir Dynasty, who are inspired by the Sith. They control the other half of the galaxy. The UB and the Noir have been in many skirmishes, but they haven't been in war with each other just yet. The first season is basically my main character building up his crew, and then the second season that I'm currently working on will focus on the struggles of the crew. So when people are like, describe the show for me, it's like Star Wars meets Cowboy Bebop meets Mass Effect with elements of hip hop and pornography. So like the name itself is called Follow the Flow, based off of like a rap flow. So like rapping. The organization is called the Ciphers, like standing in a cipher together, or rapping in a cipher. The galaxy that they're in is called the Shahid Galaxy, which is inspired from Ali Shahi Muhammad from Tribe. The students of the cipher organization are called prodigies. The students of the Noir Dynasty are called Havocs, based off of Prodigy and Havoc from Mobb Deep. The ciphers, when they want to pass their assessments to step from Prodigy status to Paladin status, is called a Shakur assessments. And then like they have this Super Saiyan like transformation called Tupac's for the males and Jada's for the females. So like it's like I said, I've just been working on this for 2 years. Season 1 is finished. I'm currently working on season 2, and when I finish season 2, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start recording audio and dialogue. I want to treat this like an audio book. So like I'm gonna record everything in like episodes, and then when it's put together, I'm gonna release it. Try to crowdfund and build on YouTube so that I can, once I start meeting with companies, I'll have like, fans. I'll have some financial backing so that like I'm not walking in here blind, because I want to own or at least license everything, and then like start having like actual animation behind it, because I do have characters drawn out currently, but no actual like action scenes. But how everything is worded and written out in the script, you can tell this is going to be like one of them ones that's like, in my own opinion, is going to be like top 10 newer animes in the 2020s or the 2030s, whenever it decides to release.
Okay. Go. How far along are you into season 2?
I'm in the 4th act, so each act has 10 acts of like 100 pages or more. Act 4, I'm almost done with it. So once I finish that, I'll be 40% complete, and yeah, I'm 40% complete. One of the reasons why Act 4 has taken so long is because this act deals with therapy, and each character is getting like their own time alone with a therapist. And as someone who has not been to therapy, but I want to go, but as someone who has not been to therapy, I don't really know how to tackle it. But I have my friend who is a therapist. She's going to read over and let me know what's good, what could be touched upon, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. That's dope. Okay, are you into, my question to you is, are you into talking about business on Twitter, or are you against that, like talking to different people and like going to their DMs and like actually, trying to get business done?
Okay, so I used to do that, and it got me nowhere. So now that I'm older, I would say the best way to conduct business is to actually go outside and network. Like, it's nice to have a Twitter account that discusses your business, but you also have to know, 1, what your business is, and 2, if it's profitable on Twitter, and 3, you want to have a business account that's separate from your personal account. Because what I've learned from being an artist is that my personal account has gotten me oftentimes in a lot of trouble, talent-wise. And this was something that was mentioned to me when I was like 20. Because my earlier pages had a whole lot of like sexual liberated stuff on there that contradicted with pretty much how my music was being viewed and portrayed. So I had to realize, okay, I need something separate from that. Now, as far as like business on Twitter, I'm not LLC Twitter. I don't talk about that stuff on there. I don't follow everything on there, so I'm not the most business. I probably know maybe 10% of business, but that's just through trial and error. Right. So if you want to like make your business pop, you gotta have some financial backing. That's the number one thing I want to tell people. You're gonna pay, or you're going to pay, and you want to go outside and actually meet people in your field. Like if your field is accounting, you need to go to like some events where you see a bunch of accountants and network with people. Don't be afraid to talk to folks. Don't be rude to folks, and don't be trying to be all up in folks' faces, but don't be afraid to hold a conversation with people. Now with something like this, or with music, our thing is really, we just need the money. And if you have a good enough job, you can take care of that yourself without trying to get like an investor. Or if you got the credit, get a business loan, which is something that I heard Russ speak on. But yeah, as far as the music goes, and financially invest into it, like get a marketing campaign or get some ads, or everything is digital nowadays. With this, the anime, I wanna crowdfund and build a fan base, and hopefully, if this gets big enough, the numbers will generate themselves off of the views and the streams. So I'll have the financial backing to put it out there, or at least pay the people to make this, and then just build it from the ground up.
All right. So are you a big fan of the Boondocks?
Of course, I love the Boondocks. I remember when the Boondocks first came out, like I was what? This is 2005, so I was 11. Yeah, I love the Boondocks.
Yeah. Is it of course we all want the Boondocks back, but do you think it's like gonna be able to do what it did years ago when it first came out?
It could. Because here's the thing with comedy. As long as you make something funny, people are gonna laugh. Like, as long as you make something... Because let's not forget, the Boondocks was offensive in its own right back in 2005. Like, right. I'll never forget, my mom stopped watching the Boondocks because of the Martin Luther King episode.
Right.
Like, she stopped watching it simply because of his speech at the end of the episode, and the one thing that turned her off was he used the word nigga. Even though his message was 100% factual on the state of black people at that time, the fact that he said nigga turned her off, and she never watched another episode of the Boondocks from that moment on. So people are gonna find something to be upset about. It's about allowing it to continue to disrupt your flow of things. Because look at Family Guy, look at American Dad, look at Bob's Burgers. These shows have been offensive, even The Simpsons. These shows have been intentionally offensive for almost 30 years now. So like, Boondocks, if it were to come back, there is a space for it. Now, will it be as big and as successful as it was in the 2000s? Probably not, but you have to define success in your own right. And unfortunately, I think they want those big numbers again. Otherwise, whoever they decide to go to would pull the plug from it. Because that's the issue that we run into. Something can be a cult classic or successful, but if it's not generating the big numbers, the company's like, listen, we got other projects that are like doing 5 times the amount, so we gotta cut you off. Yes and no. Like I got into Snowfall literally in the 4th season. I was talking to this girl last year, and she put me on the Snowfall. So whenever I would come visit her, she would watch Snowfall. So that's how I got into Snowfall. But I did watch season 5 and season 4. Not gonna spoil anything for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it's been a week, so hurry the fuck up. Yeah, how it ended how it ended, it was a very realistic and it was a realistic ending, and it was a ending that I feel like a lot of us could tolerate. Because one thing people don't like are endings that feel, a lot of people don't like endings that feel like everybody got away and they ran off into the sun, or everybody's dead. Like, no, it's a realistic ending. Franklin ended up how he ended up. Leon and Wanda ended up how they ended up. His mom ended up how she ended up. Louie ended up how she ended up. What happened to Teddy happened to Teddy. So we gotta, especially with everything that happened in the culmination of 7 years, we got what we deserved.
Right. Do you think it is going to get a spinoff?
They say it's gonna get a spinoff with Wanda, and based on the information that I read, that sounds like an interesting show. Cause from what I was told, the spinoff is gonna deal with the introduction of gangster rap and how gangster rap was connected with the streets off of the shadows of the crack epidemic from the 80s. Cause how the show ends, it ends in 90, where John Singleton starts working on Boys in the Hood, which is a perfect tie-in because gangster rap really started taking off in the 90s. You had Ice Cube as a solo act, Dr. Dre as a solo act, Easy as a solo act, Snoop Dogg, Warren G. It actually is a perfect tie-in. Now, how it will be executed, I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Rest in peace, John Singleton. Yeah, I kind of wish he was here to, I definitely think that it would be it probably would have got started immediately. Almost immediately, at least we'll see it by the next year. You feel the spinoff at least.
Yes.
Let's see, I got. Okay. Yeah, this is something I'm definitely gonna take off. This is I'm only asking you this because I feel like you can answer this question.
Okay.
But you don't have to answer it. If you could get rid of one bad album by one artist, who is that and what album?
One bad album. See, I gotta think because a lot of artists be having like their catalogs just aren't that good. Like, so to find an artist with a good catalog and then find that one blemish, shit. Ugh, this is actually tough. Okay, since I spoke on him, Nas, the one album I would remove from his catalog is Streets Disciple. That is some of the worst like quantized music. Cause I listened to the album last year and I was like, there's no way Nas let this one out the drafts. I know a lot of people think Nostradamus is bad. Nostradamus is not as bad as Streets Disciple is, and it's a double disc. That one, out of all the albums Nas has ever given us, that is the one where I can say nobody really rocks with it like that. Because even with Nostradamus, people can find maybe like 5 songs that they like from there. With that one, most people just like, they probably like 2 songs, either like Just a Moment or they like Thief's Theme. Anything else is just a no.
Okay. That's dope. It's more questions I want to ask you, but I'm not gonna stress too much more of your time. I appreciate you for coming through. This is like long time in the making.
Yes, it is.
I'm so glad that I got you here. Again, like this feature run that you're on. Like I said, the one on Rocks album, I felt like you gave it. Like that shit is not topping those other 2. I'm just saying, like, to me, at least to me, that's only because I listen to those other 2, it just doesn't measure up. Especially when I go back and listen to Skating, I'm just like, yes, like nothing beating this shit. Cause it definitely, you know, gets people like, damn, I gotta get back to, like, I gotta write something else. Like, it gives you that, like, that feeling to where, oh, I gotta write something that's gonna top this.
Mhm.
Like, it's give you that wow factor. It gives you that, like, everything you want. And you see, because, like, we don't get too many posse cuts, because everybody's afraid to rap, or everybody's buddy-buddy now.
Right.
But that's, we gonna go ahead and end it here. Again, I appreciate you. And we out.
No problem.